Welcome to day 6 model rockets. Now that we're done painting our rocket, we need to load the rocket. First thing we want to do is when you remove your rocket stick, be sure to return your rocket stick to the box in the paint room. So we'll set that aside here. Then what we want to do is prep the rocket for the engine. The engine's going to go down here, and we're also going to prep the parachute for the launch. First thing we're going to do is the parachute. What we're going to do is we're going to take the nose cone and remove that. Now this parachute is made of plastic, okay? And we all know that when plastic heats up, it melts. Well, there's a lot of heat coming from this rocket engine that's going to be down here. And heat and plastic is not a good combination. To protect the plastic parachute from melting, we're going to put what's called flame-proof wadding. It's a special material that we're going to put in there to absorb the heat from the engine. So what you're going to do is take this flame-proof wadding. Each person will get a piece about this big, and what you're going to do is you're going to bring it together and crumple it up in a fluffy ball about the size of a golf ball. Keep it loose and fluffy so it can absorb heat. Then you're going to take that and you're going to tuck it down inside your rocket, just like that there, as far as one finger could push it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to fold your parachute up. So right now my parachute's in half. Then I'm going to continue to fold it in half like this. And just keep folding it until it's long and skinny, like this. And then we're going to fold it in half. The part where the fold is, we're going to put that part down. So we're going to tuck that in there. Then we're going to follow it up with all of the strings. So we make sure all the strings get tucked inside that rocket. Now we have to be absolutely sure that the nose cone is loose after everything's in there. If all the strings are inside, the nose cone should be able to twist side to side, because that nose cone needs to be able to pop off. If this were stuck on there permanently, the rocket goes up, everything's all good, but then it's coming down. Now it's a dangerous dart, and that could hit somebody in the head, send them to the hospital. So we got to make sure that this is able to pop off. Once in a while, someone will get a lot of paint that leaks in around here. If you get that, and yours is really sticky, you may have to have your teacher get out some sandpaper, and we may have to sand that a little bit to remove that paint. If it's still tight, the day we launch it, we're probably going to leave this up just a little bit, like that. You can see a little bit of the white there. That will ensure us that that nose cone is going to pop off. But if yours is nice and loose like this one here, we can go all the way down. Now let's talk about the rocket engine. We are going to be using a B64 rocket engine. This piece right here is the actual rocket engine. Okay? This end here is called the clay nozzle end. There's a little itty bitty hole in the middle. We'll zoom in real close so you can see that hole. Okay? That's where we're going to put an igniter, which is basically going to put a little bit of fire, which is going to cause that rocket engine to start burning. On this end over here, it's a little bit hollow. This is a B64. It's a medium-sized rocket engine. It's half filled with rocket fuel. If we were to put in the C size, a C65 rocket engine, then it would be filled all the way full, therefore it would have more rocket power. They make an A engine, a B engine, and a C engine for our rockets. We're going to skip the A and we're going to go right to the B. So we're using a medium-sized rocket engine. After a rocket has been flown with a medium one, then you can up it to the high-powered C engine. But for our class, we'll just use the B64. We have two parts that are going to go on the bottom. One is the igniter, this piece right here. Okay? We need to bend, there's some little wires right here. We're going to be bending those wires. Before we do that, let's take a look at our diagrams here. This diagram right here is a large picture of what I have in my hand here, the igniter. What we're going to do is take the wires that extend beyond the paper here, the brown paper, and we're going to loop or bend them over, creating what we call rabbit ears. So this is the before. That's what it looks like when you first get yours. And then the after, you're going to take your fingers and you're going to shape those little wires, you're going to bend them in a little bit of a curve like that there. So that's what we're going to do at this time. We're going to create our rabbit ears. So we take our igniter, just like this here. One side's white there, one side's brown. Doesn't matter which side you have out. But you're going to take your finger and you are going to bend and loop them over a little bit. Now there's no real right or wrong way of doing this. Okay, sometimes they get curved, sometimes they kind of go up and they just go straight over. Okay, maybe the paper there gives us a good background. So I've looped mine over. I just want a little bend there. And the reason why we want that bend there is we're going to be hooking an alligator clip, a metal clip to there, and it's easier for it to grab onto when they are bent over. So we loop ours over. Mine kind of go over a little bit. Then what we're going to do, after we bend them, create our rabbit ears, we're going to take the black end. That's the part that catches fire. Try not to touch that part there because it may not burn. So we want to take that part there and we're going to set it inside the clay nozzle end here. It will go down about 1/4 inch. It doesn't go very far. Just like that there. And then we're going to take this when it's straight up and down, and then we're going to bend it at a right angle. So we're just going to tip it over like this here a little bit. Now, this thing can fall right out, so we need to have something to hold it in place. That's where this little pink cap comes into play. We're going to put this little cap right down the middle of this, and we're going to press it into place. Put it right in there, and then you push, and then that holds it in place. Okay? Once that cap is in there, don't move these wires around. Don't be wiggling and stuff. It tends to break the wires. So now this rocket engine is ready to go into the rocket. The way you load it, you tip the rocket up like this here. We've got this little metal hook here. Okay, I call that the loop-de-loo end. We're going to have to bend this. So what I do is I take the engine and I kind of push that hook to the side with the engine, and I got to get this started a little bit. Before I push it all the way in, I need to align these wires away from the straw. See the white straw here, or what was once the white straw? That straw there is going to help us guide our rocket. Let me show you on the rocket launch pad. This little straw here, here's a rocket launch pad. If I follow this wire up, that little straw there allows us to keep the rocket on the launch pad so it doesn't fall over. Now, we don't want these wires on the same side as the metal rod or the straw, otherwise it'll short out. So what we need to do is be aware of that. So as we set this engine in there, get it started just a little bit, and then we've got to find a side that doesn't have anything, like this side, or this side, or this side. We also want to be aware of this metal hook. You don't want to have the wires on the same side as the metal hook, or the same side as the straw. So this is on one side, this metal hook is on this side, so that means I can put the wires here or here, it doesn't matter. So I turn the rocket, and then I'm going to slide it up, and it'll go all the way in, and then this little metal hook kind of pops into place. And the loop-de-loo end holds the rocket engine in place. Just like that there. When we're all done launching our rocket, if we want to remove the old burnt rocket engine, you just bend this little hook back, you take your fingers, you grab onto this, and you remove it. That one's all burnt up. You get another one, put new flame-proof wadding inside, and you're good to go. Let's review one more time. As soon as we're done reviewing this time, we're going to pause the video, and then we're going to have you assemble these parts. So we already have our flame-proof wadding inside. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our igniter. This is for review now. We're going to bend our little rabbit ears. Step one, bend those over. Create a little bend. Now I've got looped over rabbit ears. Then we take the black end. Be very careful not to touch it. Put the black end in the clay's nozzle end, like that. Then we're going to bend it over a little bit. You can see that. And then you grab this little pink cap, put it right down the middle, press it into place. Now the engine's loaded. Then we pick up our rocket, Okay, we find the metal hook, we find the straw. We don't want the wires on that side, so this side over here is probably the side that I'm going to go with. So you get that engine, you push back there, get that engine in there, slide it in, and that metal hook will just hook, just like that there. Now the wires are on the side where there are no distractions. Now, every once in a while, someone will put theirs in and they forget about that, and then all of a sudden they realize, oops, the straw's right here, it's on the wrong side. How do I fix it? Well, the way you fix it is this. You bend this little hook here, the loop-de-loo end, you grab your engine, pull it out, turn the rocket, and try it again. Find the correct side, slide it in there. Whatever you do, do not grab the wires and say, oh, I'll just drop the wires down, bend them around, and put it on the other side. That will ruin it. It will not fly. Okay? You must bend this little hook, grab the engine out, turn it, slide it back in there. That is how you load your rocket in. Now we need to get prepared to go outside. We've got our rocket. The next thing we need to do is, in the winter months, winter and the early spring, it's really cold outside. So we need to make sure we're wearing a heavy coat, a hat, maybe some light gloves, or at least make sure that your jacket's got some nice warm pockets. You are going to have your hands out in the cold for a little bit, but if you have pockets or gloves, you can warm your hands back up again. Need to be dressed warm outside, otherwise launching rockets no fun. Now let's talk about what we're going to be doing outside. What we have here is a diagram of what it's going to look like outside. We have cones going all around a huge circle outside. We have a large table where the rockets are going to go, a smaller table where the starting switch will be located. Okay? Your job when you get out there is you're going to be responsible, you and your other group members, for loading your rockets. You guys are working together as a cooperative group to get the rockets on the launch pad, to get the wires hooked up, and then to launch them in the correct order. Now, when we go outside, we will already have you divided into groups. We'll let you choose groups of 4 people in a group. Then when you get outside, what you're going to do is you're going to stand in a group. You'll have a group of kids here, maybe a group here, and so on around the circle. And the groups will be numbered. And then what we'll do is we'll have group number 1 come up first. Group 1 walks in. When you load your rocket, what we want you to do is come on the back side over here. Slide your rocket down the metal rod, put it on there, and then you walk around this side, and then that's where you're going to hook the wires up. And then you'll hook your wires up for your rocket. If any of your teammates need help, coach them if they need it. Otherwise, when yours is loaded, you'll walk back over here and you'll wait behind the switch that corresponds with the wire that's laying in the grass. Then when all 4 people are over here, then we'll do a visual inspection, and then we'll put in the keys, and then we'll do the launch. When we actually do the launch, we're not all going to push the button at one time. We're going to do a countdown. And in rocketry, we do the countdown in reverse order. So we're going to start at 5, then we're going to go 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. That is a countdown in rocketry. I'll do the counting down. When I holler 5, that alerts everybody else around the circle that we're about to start launching rockets. When I say 4, this person right here, in line with number 4, that person's going to push the little green button, and they're going to hold that button down until their rocket goes way high in the air. Then we're going to wait a few seconds. When that person runs after their rocket, when they are outside this circle, then we'll continue the countdown, and we'll say 3. They'll push the button, they'll hold it till the rocket takes off, and then they run after it. Then we'll say 2, that person takes off, and then finally 1. Make sure you hold the button down until the rocket actually launches. If you push it down and then let go, it doesn't work. You have to heat up the element inside the rocket. The electricity travels through the wire, heats up the parts inside, and then it catches fire. So you got to hold it down. If you push it and let go, probably not going to work. Just hold it. Eventually it'll work. Sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4, even 5 seconds before the rocket takes off. Now we're going to turn over here and talk about the alligator clips for a moment. Those wires that you're going to hook up, there's an alligator clip on there. And we have a supersized alligator clip here to show you how they work. You're going to take your fingers and squeeze the alligator clip like this here. You squeeze it and you bring it up and you clamp onto one of these wires hanging out the bottom of the rocket. Doesn't matter which one, just clamp it on there. When you clamp it, the alligator clip here only grabs at the very tip. It's right now crushing my finger with this supersized one. It does no grabbing down here. So make sure that the wire's not in here, it won't grab onto it. You got to clip the very tip of the alligator clip on. One on this side, then the other alligator clip on that side. And we make sure that there's a space between the two alligator clips. Now that we know all that, we're going to go outside and we're going to demonstrate how to launch the rocket. As you can see, we've got everything set up outside ready to do our model rockets. One thing we need you to be aware of, we've got the starter switch right here. There are wires lying in the grass. They travel all the way up to the table, one wire for each rocket. Here's a wire going all the way back. There's 4 sets of wires in here. We put a bunch of cones in there to remind you, you can't just run through here, you'll trip and fall and tangle and ruin all the wires. So be very careful walking in this area, okay? Now, when your group number is called, group number 1, load your rockets onto the launch pad. What we want you to do is we want you to walk around the back side of the big table. The wires are at an angle. It's easier to put them on this side. I'm not tripping over those wires. Then what we want you to do is you locate your straw. If it's winter time, be sure to take your gloves off at this point, just for a couple minutes. Take this here, line that up, steady it with one hand, take the other and slowly slide this down. Don't let it drop. Then what you need to do is find the alligator clip, and chances are there's an old burnt up igniter on there. You just take that and pull it off, set it aside. Now we're ready to hook up the alligator clips. You'll need to spin the rocket around. You can see the 2 wires here. Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to squeeze the alligator clip open. There's the jaws. Okay? Then you're going to clamp the very tip onto the wire only. Do not grab the piece of paper up there. So if we zoom in close, you can see just the very tip is touching. Then we grab the next alligator clip, bring that in there. Sometimes when you're putting one on, the other pops off. You just have to re-put it on. Then as you walk away, it's okay if this turns like this a little bit. Just make sure that the 2 alligator clips do not touch. So as you walk away, they're not touching, everything's good. If you had a sticky nose cone, remember, you would need to loosen this up a little bit and show a little bit of white there if paint had gotten down in there. This one was just fine, so we can leave it like that. Once everyone has all theirs loaded up, we'll make our way to the launching pad over here. Now, once we get over here, when all 4 members are over here, the teacher's going to spot check everything, make sure everything got hooked up properly. Then the teacher will give you the okay to put in the keys. You're going to take this little key here, you're going to put it right inside there and push the key down, and the light bulb will show. Each person will put their key in, and when everyone has a light bulb that lights up, then we know we have all systems go. So we put them all in, everything's ready to go. If one doesn't light up, then we take them all out, we go problem solve, we fix the problem, we come back and do it again. Now that we're all ready to go, the teacher's going to start the countdown. Remember, when you push the button, you're going to take your thumb or your finger and you're going to press this little button right here. It says press and hold. When you hear your number, this is 4, this is 3, this is 2, and this is 1. Remember, 4 is first. In rocketry, we count down backwards. Okay? So as a teacher, we're going to start the countdown. We're going to holler 5. Then when we say 4, we're going to press and hold the button. The rocket takes off. We wait for the person to get outside the circle. Your goal is to chase after your rocket. If you can catch it, that's awesome before it hits the ground. Then when that person's gone, then we'll press the next one. Then after that person takes off, we'll press the next one. All right, so we're going to pan out so we can get a view of the rockets here, and we're going to start our countdown. All right, remember, you got to hold the button until it takes off. Here we go. We're going to go 5, 4, and I press, and off goes that rocket. Parachute pops out. You take off after it. When you're out of the circle, the next person will holler 3. We'll press and hold that button. And that rocket takes off high in the sky. So high they probably don't even show up on the camera. You go 2. All the way off high in the air. You chase after it. Remember, your goal is to try and catch your rocket if all possible. And then finally you finish the last one. After you're all done, the teacher will remove all the keys and get ready for the next group to come along.